with the finance agenda. Then we will take a break and do the special board meeting, and then we will move into the facilities meeting. So with regards to the finance meeting, I didn't see a list, but is there anyone who would like public comment on the agenda items? Okay, there's nobody signed up, so I assume then we'll move on. So the first item in the agenda is a resolution that board members had requested with regards to PSERS and pension reform. I think you're all aware of the ever-increasing costs to the district for the PSERS contributions. So, I don't know, Kathy, do you want to explain this, or is there anything we need to do? Okay, so just what this is asking, this will go to our legislators, and it's just explaining, the first part of it explains the increase to Pennridge, and if you look at this, back in 2008, 2009, our expenditures for PSERS were $2,685,750. That's a 4.76%. Through 2012-13, the amount then was $6,859,577. That's 12.36%. This year, which is 2013-14, the amount is now $9,123,066, or 16.93%. And in the year 2017-18, it's going to be $17,090,865, or 30%. And I believe it stays around that percentage for quite a while after that. So this is all explained in the resolution, and then what we're asking for is, what it says is, whereas meaningful solutions to these problems must involve identifying other funding sources for PSERS, actuarially appropriate adjustments to amortization of gains and losses, limitations of eligibility, adjustment of benefit levels, and examining the possibility of adoption of a hybrid pension plan that would reduce employer costs over time. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of School Directors of the Pennridge School District calls upon the General Assembly to begin immediate consideration of school employee pension reform to reduce projected costs to school districts and taxpayers over the next 3 decades while maintaining an appropriate pension benefit for school employees. Be it further resolved that the Pennridge School Board calls on the General Assembly to consider the creation of a hybrid pension system consisting of defined benefit and defined contributions for school employees as a potential solution. So unless board members have any other changes or any questions about it? Yes, Dave asked, on here we have the 5 years up through 2012-13, which is $20,329,582. And as I said, that was the total for 5 years. Just the total for 1 year in 2017-18 is going to be $17 million. So you can see how it's going up.
The total 67 million, 67.8 million for the next 5 years. Yeah. For the next 5 years, it will go to 67.8 million from 20 million for the last 5 years. It's unconscionable what we're being asked to deal with, what our taxpayers are being asked to deal with.
That's okay. I'll just speak up. But this is something that's going on all around this country. It's also a problem if you look at today's paper in local townships. And this is This is a huge and growing problem. It has nothing to do with in my view, whether the people affected by this have a right to a good, substantial pension. It's a matter of how we fund this pension. I would also like to suggest that we consider, if once this is passed, sending this on to every other school district in this state and asking them to also forward a similar resolution to Harrisburg, because only when we get that kind of numbers, 500 school districts, if we got 400 of them, you can doggone well bet that Harrisburg would begin to pay attention.
Yeah, I know that a lot of school districts have already passed this, but I think that's definitely a good idea. It doesn't seem like there's much action right now, so we need to, it's very important that we...
This will be coming up at our next board meeting, correct?
Yes, this
And
is...
so I will prepare a small addendum to it that we can discuss at that time. Thank you.
All right. Is there any other board members have any questions about this or changes or anything? Okay, I guess this will be on the March 24th.
Where's the signing fee?
Up here.
We'll have a chance for comment afterwards, okay? I asked before and nobody wanted to comment, so I'm not going to do it in between.
We didn't
so.
know what the agenda questions were, and I had a question about this.
Okay, well, can you just, this meeting won't take long. Can you just wait till afterwards? We'll answer your question. Okay, the next item is contracts for review. So we have looks like eight contracts for review. So we'll just quickly go through them, and if board members have questions or, and we'll answer them. The first one is for Blue Chip Sound. This is for the sound system and the projection system for our commencement at Lehigh in June. It's $4,100. Is that paid by the lab student? Okay, this is paid by the students' activity. Any questions on that? I think this is the same one we probably used for the last several years. Okay. The next contract is for Faith Gonnet, okay, for choreography for the, I believe this is for the indoor guard season, $1,400. Any questions on that? Okay. The next contract is the actual contract with Lehigh University for the commencement. Do we have a date? Okay, we don't have a date yet. Now, the estimated total, obviously, it's an estimated based on how many people and prior years. So the estimated total is $10,330.76. I believe this is the same type of contract that we've done for the last 2 years. Any questions? Okay. The next 1, 2, 3, 4 are MOUs for different locations for school relocation sites in case we have some kind of emergency or disaster where we have to evacuate our schools and move our students to a different location. Any questions on those?
Do we have enough time?
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yes.
It's all within walking distance of schools, is that correct?
I'm sorry, what?
Are they all within walking distance of schools?
Can't hear you.
And are they
She
all-
asked if they're within walking distance of schools. I'm not even sure. there's 4 here. Does this cover all our schools, or is this just some? I'm not even sure. I would think that the Silverdale and Pennridge Community Center might be for the middle school, Central.
Could be for either one.
I'm not sure where the First Baptist Church is, but
So it seems that it's located,
okay.
are we centrally to building or?
Okay.
You have to go where people will allow you.
We'll find out for sure exactly, because this is all of them,
Yeah,
how
I'm
many
just
students
saying.
it's covered.
You have to get a facility that says, yeah, we'll do it. And if it's not close to the school, and the ones that are close to the school say, no, we won't do it.
The one says it
Yeah,
accommodates
but I'm
grade 7
saying,
and
yeah.
8, and then the other one says grade 6.
Did she turn that mic on?
It doesn't really say which schools they're for, that's all. I guess I would like to know which schools are they specific schools going to specific locations? Find out.
Okay,
Thank you.
Kathy's going to find out for sure. All right? We'll find out before the meeting on Monday. The final one is for a mailing machine lease for Pitney Bowes, $249.32 a month for a 60-month lease from CoStars. Okay, so all those will be on the March 24th board meeting for approval. The next item on the agenda is to review the 2014-15 advertising of bids listed below. We have student planners, athletic equipment and supplies, music equipment and supplies, art supplies, technology education equipment and supplies, facility supplies, equipment and services, transportation supplies and services, and printing and binding services. Okay, so this is just a request to go out to bid for those. Everybody okay with this? Before we get to number 5, Kathy just wants to go over our heat rate contract results.
If you will recall, several weeks ago, Amorex was here to go over how the district purchases energy. At that time, I believe Mr. McKim mentioned that we had several what we call open positions, which were months that were not covered to purchase our electricity. We did close and purchase our last position for the period of June 2015, make sure I got these dates correct, for the next year. And actually, it's a 2-year deal that over the 2 years, we will be paying approximately $180,000 less based on the consumption than we are paying during the previous 12-month period. So we did close that deal, as I said, on Monday, and the projected savings based on today's rates and today's consumptions over the 2 years is a total of $180,603.70.
That's great news, thank you. Okay, item 5 on the agenda concerns the 2014 repository sale listing. Do you want to explain that, Kathy?
Yes, we did receive information from Bucks County that the school district has 4 parcels. They are land-only parcels that are listed for repository sale. These are items that they have not paid their taxes either to Bucks County, the municipality, or to the school district, so they go on what's called a repository sale. And I'm letting the board know those 4 properties. And if the board has any interest in purchasing any of those properties for the school district, we would have to place a bid for those. So this is just pretty much an informational item, and unless someone brings something forward at a later time, the board might be interested in purchasing these properties.
But aren't we deciding on this one?
That's a different one.
That's a different one. Did you?
Do these properties have any value to the school district? I mean, are they in a location that's of value to us? And when would we have to bid on them?
At this time, Bucks County did not tell me when the bid might be necessarily. So there's nothing there. It's just rules and regulations that I can share with the board. I will tell you that one's a residential acreage, half acre, under a half acre, so I don't believe that is of any interest to us. Another is 5 acres on Hilltown Pike, so I'm not really sure. I don't think that is big enough for any facility that we might want to, might be interested in. Another one, again, is under a half acre, and we got 3 of the 4 under a half acre, and the other one is 5 acres. So I don't, from my perspective, I don't believe there's something that the school district would have, there would be any value in for the school district at this point.
So that item was just informational for board members. Now, the next item concerns a bid on one of those properties, right, Kathy? Oh, a different property, I'm sorry.
Yes, we have two different agenda items regarding repository sales. The first one was just the notice of sale of properties that were going into the repository sale. The other is actually a property that the county has received a bid on. The bid, as it was included in your packet, is for $100. The property itself, the taxes annually on that property are $1,291.12. The board does have to make a decision if they want to accept that $100. If any 3 of the taxing authorities say no, the property will not be sold and it will remain in the repository for another auction, another bid. I should say auction, another bid.
So basically, it's a $100 bid for a property that's 2.379 acres. I don't know what the feeling is, but I don't think we should accept the bid. Is that, do I have enough, like 5 people that would agree with that? Because then we can, okay. We'll put that on a motion then, and yeah, we'll do that actually tonight in the special board meeting so that Kathy can get this sent in. All right, that concludes the finance part of the meeting. So now I will open it up to public comment. Oh, I'm sorry.
Kathy, I looked at the transportation budget that we received, what was that, last week? And I always understood you to say that it was actuals that you dealt with, but that said budget to budget. I'd like to know how you came up with the numbers then to, increase the budget. There was no cost listed, no actual costs.
I would have to ask Mrs. Armour's.
Can you speak up, please?
Hey,
Is this not on? It's on. Oh, Kathy, I'm sorry.
I will have to get back to Mrs. Armour's because, again, she reviews her budget on a monthly basis, and we look at where we're at this year, where we're at prior year at this time, and for some of those items, especially for items such as maintenance, because we can't, for say, last year we spent X number of dollars, maintenance is up and down, so we try to keep a constant amount in there for maintenance, for repairs, that we don't only spend it, but we also need to make sure that we have enough in there for any maintenance items coming
But there were no actual costs listed.
Not, no,
Can we get those actual costs?
you would need actual estimates, and I don't know if we're quite ready to share actual
So
estimates
that's
for
how
any.
you know what the budget, then how the budget will work.
I will have Mrs. Chris put something together that explains that in more detail.
Also, one other thing. What factor is she using to measure costs? I mean, is it per mile? Does she have a formula that measures per mile on the buses? You can't just measure runs because they're all different miles. Correct? I mean, how do you manage the cost or measure?
Again, I'll have to ask Mrs. Armbruster to work that, because she's been working on that together with Transpar, and actually Transpar will be back here in April to hopefully go over the meeting with us, so we've been using a number of different factors.
Yeah, if there's a, the nice thing about our budget process this year is that we have quite a bit of time. So as we go through these presentations, if board members, after it sinks in and you have some questions, you can either email me or, like you did, Ada, bring it up at a subsequent meeting. But it would give Kathy time to answer your question and get this stuff together. So thank you. All right, now we'll have public comment on the finance part of the agenda. There is a microphone up there, I believe, that one works this time. So if you want to come up and state your name and give us your comment. Anybody?
My name is Tom Gillis.
Is that on? I'm sorry. There you go.
Name is Tom Gillis. I actually have more of a question than a comment. Does the board have a strategy or a plan for dealing with the rising pension plan costs that you had just mentioned in the coming years?
Well, I can tell you that we knew it was coming, and we started putting money in reserve. What do we have, about $8 million? We have a reserve of approximately $8 million. I don't know. Other than that, other than trying to control our personnel costs as much as we can, I don't know if there's much else we can do.
Yeah, this is a problem that the only control we have is figure out how to pay for it. We have some control by the number of people we have working. That's not a very popular way of dealing with this, but that's about all we're left with. The rest of this issue is being talked about in Harrisburg, but so far there's been nothing but talk. And so at this point, we're left with trying to figure out how we are going to pay for this.
One thing I will say, and if you've been following this, I mean, this results from an unfunded liability. So most of the proposals about moving people into a hybrid plan or changing the contribution rate going forward doesn't help that situation, the unfunded liability, and that's the real problem. Nobody can figure out, because state law says that you can't just change the pension plan. They've earned that money, and now the states and the school district, we have to cover it, and that's the real problem. That's what nobody seems to be able to handle.
Yeah, I can definitely appreciate your challenge and the limited options you have. But from the timetable that you had mentioned, this is an urgent and pressing issue.
From our point of view, the $8 million that we have put aside for PESers, we can only spend this once. And while we can use this to kind of kick the can down the road, which is a popular approach that most politicians use for this, but if we take this money now and spend it, this is money that would usually have gone into our capital budget. This was money that was surplus through cost-effective measures, and the district has been very attempt to be cost-effective over the years. This money would normally have gone into the capital expenditures. Over the last few years, because we knew this was coming, this money, instead of going into CapEx, went into the PSERS reserve. But anything that we spend in there now is just going to delay. It's going to mean that whatever problems we have now are going to be that much worse down the road when we don't have any more of these reserves to put against it. So it's a problem that is very difficult to solve. And the longer we put it off and trying to deal with it, the harder it's going to be. It doesn't go away. It's not going to peak and go back down again. It goes up and stays up for some number of years to come. So it's a problem that unless Harrisburg helps us, we're in trouble. And every other district in this Commonwealth is in trouble also.
Sounds like taxes are going to be going up.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
We don't have any choice.
Charles Healy, Bedminster. What would be the board's position, and I know you can't speak for the association of school boards and other organizations like that, but if there was a viable way for the state to increase revenues to offset what the school districts are having to pay and will be having to pay, how much support would be given to that revenue source by districts and the Association of School Districts?
I don't know. I would think we would. Well, there again, it depends how the revenue is distributed, I think, and that's always the case, because if it's some kind of sales tax increase or something like that that's across the state, we all know from past experience the state's not very good at allocating the money. I mean, it seems like they just can't do it fairly, but...
Well, it would be earmarked. The increase in sales tax, if it were that, would be earmarked to go into the pension fund in lieu of the school districts having to pay increasingly higher costs. So for instance, if it's currently 6%, if you raised it to 7%, and then you added in all of the currently non-taxed items to be taxed by sales tax, such as chewing tobacco, and they know, they have the whole list of these things. Those items newly added to be taxed, that 7% would go into offsetting the costs of the pension, plus the 1% on everything else that's currently taxed at 6%. Would be earmarked to go into offsetting this. In order for that to happen in Harrisburg, there has to be a strong outcry from the public, from the school districts, from the Association of School Districts, etc., even the teachers union, because even though technically, they're not being asked to put more money in, they know that it's something that has to be dealt with, and short of a few districts deciding to go bankrupt to, show that they can't do this any longer when it hits 30%. I just wondered how the association or even school districts in general would feel about supporting something like that.
Well, my opinion of that is a tax is a tax is a tax. So if somebody's paying for it, it's not getting to the root of the problem, but,
Well,
it's still going to pay for it. Either
Yes.
we're going to raise our taxes or they're going to raise the sales tax.
But you're trying, you would be trying to fund this shortfall by a broader based tax, not just having taxpayers paying out of their real estate tax. Many of them on pensions, can't afford a 30% pension increase. And so by putting it on something like sales tax, you would be, it's a broader based tax, and it would be, in a sense, fairer that everybody chip in to do their part. And so...
Well, the same thing was discussed with getting rid of the real estate tax. I think the same type of proposal, increasing sales tax and trying to, I mean, it just doesn't seem to go anywhere, but, we can...
Well, it doesn't go anywhere because they don't have a groundswell of taxpayers, school districts. No one's screaming and yelling at the politicians. They're very comfortable doing what they're doing, which is to just stretch this out over the next 10 or 15 years and let the school districts keep doing their dirty work by raising the taxes to cover it. And so as long as nobody's screaming at them, that's the way it'll be. And it'll fall on the shoulders of people who own their own house, whether they can really afford it or not. And so a sales tax is a broader based tax, and everybody would be chipping in to do it. I mean, you have tourism is one of the biggest products that we have in Pennsylvania, and I think it's tourism and agriculture are the top two revenue producers in the state. So you have people coming from out of state paying sales tax when they come here for tourism. So it's a broader based tax, and I think it has potential.
Well, we could sit here and talk about it all night. Just by us passing this resolution, we're willing to do anything we can. I think I can say that. So,
okay.
All right.
I'll be back.
Thanks.
I just want to, can I add, I mean,
Can't hear you.
many people might be aware, but not everyone.
Turn your mic on.
Okay. That the problem stems from 2001 when the state legislators gave themselves a 50% increase in their pension. So, people need to be aware of that. And in order to sort of spread out the wealth and quell any opposition to giving themselves a huge increase, they gave the state workers and the teachers a 25% increase in their pension, and then to give so that people wouldn't be upset about that, they gave the school districts, a break and kept the rates really low for, paying into it. So that's really where the problem stems from. So, I think people can contact their legislators about that issue as well, about the increase in their pension that they gave themselves, which created the whole problem.
Sparky? The combined pension deficits of Pennsylvania's public pension is almost $50 billion right in that neighborhood, I think. Does that sound right to you, Glenn? Yes. And I think tax revenues from tourism in Pennsylvania are just over $2.5 billion. So that's all, if you took all that money and just threw it at the pensions, you're still looking at whatever that came out to be, 20 years. So just to concur with Bill, whatever's out there, whatever comes down the road, whatever we can do, because we don't get to decide sitting here. So thanks for your comments, Mr. Healy.
Turn it on.
I'd just like to comment that what you talked about in terms of increased sales taxes, without getting into it too much, there have been at least 2 states, I think 3, that have tackled this at a state level. And to do this, it has to happen at a state level. Our ability to do very much is significantly limited, but I think the resolution that we're going to pass next is a start, and we need to keep amplifying that. Until enough people in this state get ticked off about it, nothing's going to happen.
Any other comments?
copy in your table?
Yes, it is. Anything else? Okay, so the finance meeting then is adjourned, and we'll move on, if Peter's ready, to the special board meeting.